Happy Easter, everybody. How's it going? We are bummed that we can't see you today in person, but Easter is not canceled. So just because we can't go into our church building doesn't mean that Easter is canceled. We are still going to celebrate today.
Of course.
So, what is Easter? What is Easter all about? What do you guys know?
It's about
raising from the dead.
It's about Jesus being raised from the dead.
God's
exactly.
resurrection.
Is it about Easter eggs and Easter hunts and Easter bunnies or all of that? No, it's not about that. Today is all about Jesus and what he has done for us as believers. So Resurrection Day is what another name for this day is called. So what does resurrection mean? Do you know what it means?
It means God raising from the dead.
Yes, it means that to be raised from the dead is exactly what that means. So we know that Jesus died on Good Friday, which was just a few days ago. They crucified him. He was hanging on the cross, and then he died. They buried him in a tomb. And then a few days later, Mary Magdalene came to visit his tomb, and what did she find? What did she find?
His cloth.
They found the tomb, the stone that was covering the opening to the tomb was rolled away, and inside they found all of the cloth and linen coverings that he was wrapped in when he was buried. And they didn't find his body, which was quite alarming to them at the time. So Mary was thinking that his body was stolen. They didn't know what happened, right? But later that day, Mary actually saw Jesus in person. He appeared to her later that day. At first, she didn't recognize him, right? She thought he was the gardener. So she didn't really realize it was him until he said, "It is I, don't you see me?" And then she was so filled with joy and that he told her, "Go tell everybody else that I am alive and that I am going to be with my Father in heaven soon." So she went and she told everybody, Mary wasn't the only person that Jesus appeared to. He actually appeared to many of his disciples over the coming days. One of them in particular was Thomas. Thomas was one of his disciples who many people call him Doubting Thomas because he didn't believe it at first. They were like, "Is this really you, Jesus?" And then what did he do? What did Jesus do? He put out his hands, and then what? What did he say to Thomas?
He said that, do you see the hole?
Yeah, the holes, my nail-pierced hands, right? He showed him. He said, "Look at my body. It is me. This is the person who was crucified. Believe me." And he believed him, which was amazing. So, why did Jesus have to die? What do you guys know about that?
To save us from our sins.
To save us from our sins, exactly. So let's do a little demonstration about really kind of what that means. So I'm going to bring the camera down just a little bit so that you guys can see. So we have 3 cups here. One that says Jesus, one that says me, and then one that says sin. So what's inside of all of these little cups right here? Inside of these cups, in the Jesus one is just water with a little bit of Clorox bleach. In the me one is just water. And in the sin one is water with a little bit of iodine. So we're going to do a little demonstration here as to why in the world Jesus had to die in order to take away our sins. So let me ask you a question before we do this little experiment. So if you murdered somebody, will you go to jail?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and that's a consequence for that sin of murdering somebody, right? But what if you did something wrong and you didn't have to go to jail? How would you feel?
Happy.
You'd feel pretty happy, right? So that's what that, why don't you come in here so they can see your face? That's what Jesus does, right? So imagine any of our sin, right? It could be anything. It could be not paying attention to mommy when she's teaching. It could be anything. It could be being mean to your brother. It could be anything. Anything that you've done wrong is in this cup of sin, right? So let's think about that for a minute. Let's show us being filled with sin. What happens to our cup right here? What happens? It gets a little murky, right? Aww. So imagine that now you are filled with sin, okay? So what does Jesus do? Jesus comes through and he literally washes that sin away. Isn't that amazing? It's exactly what Jesus does. So
Wow.
that is why Resurrection Day or Easter is such an important day, because Jesus had to die in order to wash away our sins. So I hope you guys all have a wonderful Easter, and we will see you soon. Bye.